if ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen. Samuel Adams. Hello again, everyone. I thought I was done for tonight, but I kind of wanted to get this off my chest. Sorry, I get those mannerisms wrong all the time. The later it is, the worse it gets. So, let's see. Gab.ai are being attacked by NPCs, and you know what? I think NPCs is a humorous term. Whoever made that up, kudos. That's just awesome. I see. You know, it's funny because the ones who get offended by the term NPCs are the NPCs. That's what's so funny about it. If you're not an NPC, you're not offended by it at all. So it's just a funny thing. It's just I think I said it before somewhere, but yeah, that's just how it is. And yeah, Hillary Clinton, she's running in 2020, and I predicted it. What was it? In July 14th, 2018, she's gonna run in 2020, and she's gonna win. And I kind of give my thoughts about it there, but you know, I said it, and I guessed it. And look, I'm just a basement dweller. They probably call me alt-right or something like that. I'm not alt-right. I may be a little bit alt. I don't even know why they even come up with that term, alt. Alternative was the thing. Now alt, they don't like the term alt, even though alt is just a short pronunciation of alternative. Everyone loved alternative stuff back in the late 90s, 2000s. Now it's 2010s plus, and they still like alternative. They just don't like alt. You got alt right, alt left, alt center, alt whatever. It's like, come on. What's next? Control, CTRL, or shift? Shift left, shift right. I mean, I could go on. There's like caps lock, there's Windows right, Windows left, escape right. I mean, they could keep going. There's just so many things on the keyboard that they can just add on and create new terminology for it that they want to create a narrative for. But all right, I am past myself. All right, crap, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I should browser, not me. What's going on over here? Ah, there I am. Sorry, I just had a couple of things going on over here. So I'm just gonna show a couple videos. HighImpactVlogs, 87,000 subs. A lot of people know about him. He's pretty cool. Says the right things. Then of course Outer Light, Esoteric Ed, 52,000 subs, and someone who else, you know, he's like 3.2 thousand subs. Davey Crocko. I don't know who he is. I just kind of saw it a week ago. You know, but who am I? I got like less than 1,000 subs anyway. So this is Gab still. As you can see on the bottom right of all my live streams, I always have Gab, and you know, I prefer to post on Gab than Twitter because Gab is censorship free, at least. Like, they'll accept me. I'm an Asian guy, 132nd NPC, basement dweller, Asian guy. Did I say Asian already? Yeah. I'm not even right. I'm not even alt-right. I don't think I'm left. So I'm just like nowhere. I'm independent. That's what I say. But what I say is, look, if I have to choose a side, and sides may have to be chosen, it doesn't matter where I came from, what I looked to as a past. Like, I might have fitted more into the left than I did on the right, or more liberal than conservative in the past. It doesn't matter now. That shit ain't what it is now. So freedom. Whoever's fighting for freedom, I don't care which side you're on. That's the side I'm fighting for. If you're against freedom, I don't know what the hell you're doing here. There's however many countries in this world, over 200. Go to the one that doesn't have freedom in its own constitution. Leave the one that you don't like that's here. Just go. Because you know what? You're not going to stop us. You're against freedom of speech? Well, we're going to keep talking. You're against freedom of owning weapons? Well, we got weapons. What are you going to fight us with? Weapons you don't have? You're not free. You're not going to fight the people who are free. You're just going to lose. The only way you're going to win is you're going to be an order follower, and the government's going to give you all these weapons, and you're going to be like, oh, don't worry, the government says. It's not owning weapons. It's just a loan. You're just borrowing these weapons to kill people. Your own countrymen who are fighting for freedom. And you're going to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's not my gun. It's the government's gun. I'm just borrowing it to kill these freedom-loving people. Scary freedom-loving people who will defy the government and not follow the government's orders anyways. I get past myself. Here we go. I'm just going to play a couple of videos of me talk about it afterwards, after each individual video. That might be a little bit better. But of course, if you want to come on in and talk, probably no longer than an hour. I just kind of want to end it before 3 a.m. over here where I am. Hope you understand that. Here we go.
Hi, boys and girls. Did you remember what day it was? I thought you might have forgot. So I'm here to remind you. It's Brainwash You with Mainstream Media Buzzword Day. You guys enjoy the video. And don't forget, facts don't care about your feelings.
Brian, a lot of these anti-Semitic, this anti-Semitic vitriol that we're now digging up, and we're seeing more and more of it, was posted on a social media platform called Gab, which frankly, until today, I had not heard of. What is Gab?
Yeah, it is a fringe website popular among alt-right members. Gab's claim to fame is you can put up pretty much whatever you want, no matter how racist or ugly, and it's going to stay up on the site. The existence of these sites where you can do anything, say anything, and usually these guys will claim, oh, I don't mean it, I'm just playing around. I think with the suspect in Florida, with the bombs, lots of, kind of angry political messages, but there wasn't the kind of anti-Semitic kind of or racist hate necessarily that we're seeing here. What I see the connection between the two cases is the idea that on the internet you can be radicalized. The way we talk about terrorists and in other countries being radicalized, Americans are being radicalized by crazy conspiracy theories, far right-wing websites, and some of these dark anti-social sites that spread memes.
And how often, for how long have we been using that exact same language when we're talking about terrorism?
I'll go into more detail about this in the next couple of videos, but you need to know by now that the PSYOP with alleged pipe bomber Caesar Sayoc and the alleged synagogue shooting is being used as a full frontal attack on free speech. They're pulling out all the stops on our internet freedom and using supposed madmen as the justification for increased government censorship and control. See, the problem for them is that people are choosing to abandon fake stream news sources because they see the biased so-called journalism, the outright lies, and the fake stories they're trying to cram down our throats. Networks are getting so sloppy with their fakery that they even dare to flash images like this, making things look even more blatantly staged than they ever have. I'm going to keep this video short, but I wanted to give you an example of the free speech they're attempting to stamp out. Gab.ai, which is Twitter's free speech rival, announced on Twitter that Joyent, Gab's hosting provider, would terminate their service today. And they did. If you go to Gab right now, this is what you'll get. Founder Andrew Torba writes, Gab has spent the past 24 hours proudly working with the DOJ and FBI to bring justice to an alleged terrorist. Because of the data we provided, they now have plenty of evidence for their case. And by provided, I think it just means that it was accessible for anybody to see because it's a public platform. This is the perfect salt in the wound chess move on Gab's part. What they're saying here is, because we allow free speech to continue on our platform, we have evidence that none of the schmucks in Silicon Valley allowed on their platforms. But my concern, because this has to do with supposed hate speech, is who gets to decide what hate speech is. In the midst of this, Gab has been no platform by essential internet infrastructure providers at every level. We're the most censored, smeared, and no platform startup in history, which means we are a threat to the media and to the Silicon Valley oligarchy. Gab isn't going anywhere. It doesn't matter what you write. It doesn't matter what the sophist talking heads say on TV. It doesn't matter what verified nobodies say on Twitter. We have plenty of options, resources, and support. We will exercise every possible avenue to keep Gab online and defend free speech and individual liberty for all people. You all have just made Gab a nationally recognized brand as the home of free speech online at a time when Silicon Valley is stifling political speech they disagree with to interfere in a US election. The internet is not reality. TV is not reality. 80% of normal, everyday people agree with Gab and support free expression and liberty. The online outrage mob and mainstream media spin machine are the minority opinion. People are waking up, so please keep pointing the finger at a social network, instead of pointing the finger at the alleged shooter who holds sole responsibility for his actions. No platform us all you want. Ban us all you want. Smear us all you want. You can't stop an idea. As we transition to a new hosting provider, Gab will be inaccessible for a period of time. We are working around the clock to get Gab.com back online. Thank you, and remember to speak freely. Andrew Torba. This is a war that has been initiated by mainstream media, federal agencies, and the Silicon Valley schmucks who think they have the right to control what you think and what you say. Gab today, you tomorrow. Censorship doesn't stop unless we stop it. Freedom is always worth fighting for. And even if it's dangerous freedom, it's far superior to the mental shackles they're trying to fasten to our minds as they try to eliminate dissenting voices. The question is, will you resist or will you go back to sleep? I'll see you guys in the next video.
What I see the connection between the two cases is the idea that on the internet you can be radicalized. Right. The way we talk about terrorists and in other countries being radicalized, Americans are being radicalized by crazy conspiracy theories, far right-wing websites, and some of these dark antisocial sites that spread memes.
And how
far right-wing websites and some of these dark antisocial sites that spread memes.
And how often, for how long have we been using that exact same language when we're talking about terrorism? Terrorism.
Something that I wanted to show you, which cracks me up, is like you guys, these guys, I don't know, you have a conversation with them, they won't be able to understand anything. 4 or 5 white dudes in suits, they probably make what, a couple $1 million each of them per year? Yeah, I would say that. I mean, why else would they be on there? You know, you could at least picked an Asian guy, a black woman, and a Hispanic lady or something on the panel. Come on, I thought they were a little bit more spread out. I guess it's you know, you gotta listen to the white suits. Anyways, I didn't want to go there with the little racism thingy. It's not really racism, you know. It's like they keep feigning for diversity. And they got the most not diverse people talking about diversity. Okay. Sometimes these late night gigs are killing me. All right, here we go. HighImpactVlogs, pretty good stuff. His main site got down, that's why it's vlogs. Here we go.
This video is brought to you by SafeBolt. Keep your emails, cloud storage, voice calls, and chats encrypted and secured. And do it with ease. Your link is in the description. It doesn't matter anymore whether tragic events are real or fake. We already know that fake stream media lies, and we know why they do it. And I've demonstrated this in video after video. If you need a refresher, check out my playlist.
Sorry, look at that. I mean, you got this guy with this hoodie with the sheriff logo on front carrying an assault weapon. You know, if that's all it takes for the public to be like, oh, we're safe, I'll just wear a hoodie and carry around an assault rifle, what they would consider an assault rifle. It's just a rifle, with something called Sharif. Spelled, it's not sheriff. It just be spelled wrong. Just wear something that says Sharif, and it's gonna be covered up. You got the, you got the sling on the gun. You got little thing. You think those little strings for your hoodies. People aren't gonna see. They think you're a sheriff. You just tell them you're a Sharif, and they'll be like, oh, okay, go get him. It just kills me.
They have an agenda and they'll go to great lengths to push that agenda. Fake stream media is here to distract, deceive, and divide the masses. Oh, and to generate revenue. The more viewers they can get with their made up, conflated stories, the more advertisers they can draw into their news cycle. They're not here to bring you the truth. They're here to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money, but let's just call it what it is. So why did they make such a big deal out of the van during the PSYOP of alleged MAGA bomber Cesar Sayoc? What's being pushed with this alleged synagogue shooting? It's the suppression of free speech and the increase of government powers and controls as usual. Listen carefully.
The suspect in today's mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh had an extensive anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish digital footprint.
So what? What does CNN care about people being anti-anything? What business is it of theirs or law enforcement? Let's say you're a certain black guy and you have an anti-Semitic, anti-white, anti-gay digital footprint. Well, apparently you're untouchable. Black nationalist, Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan is allowed to speak his rhetoric on social media and nobody bats an eye. But now, all of a sudden, the media cares. The government cares. In this clip, which was posted on October 16th and remains on Twitter to this day, Farrakhan proudly compares Jews to termites.
White folk don't like Farrakhan. Some of them respect me. But those who have been our deceivers, they can't stand me. I'm not mad with you. In fact, to the members of the Jewish community that don't like me, thank you very much for putting my name all over the planet because of your fear of what we represent. I can go anywhere in the world and they've heard of Farrakhan. So when they talk about Farrakhan, call me a hater. You know what they do? Call me an anti-Semite. Stop it. I'm anti-termite.
There's no Twitter ban. There's no news headline. There's no PayPal pulling some anti-Semitic posts on the site. And Farrakhan and those like him don't? Why don't they go after Farrakhan? Why don't they go after anti-homosexual Muslims? Oh, that's right, because there's an agenda to shut down certain people who have certain views that don't operate in the favor of government or media. And don't misunderstand me. Don't you just love how they can hide their lies behind these anonymous sources?
So everyone's back with me to discuss this. Joining us is also Brian Stelter, our chief media correspondent. Brian, a lot of these anti-Semitic, this anti-Semitic vitriol that we're now digging up, and we're seeing more and more of it, was posted on a social media platform called Gab, which frankly, until today, I had not heard of.
Okay, so we learned in the last video that Gab is now in the crosshairs. And this should concern everybody. Because what Gab represents is the right for anybody to say whatever they want, whenever they want. Gab is a censorship-free social media platform that is the free market answer to Silicon Valley's government-controlled Twitter.
But just tell us overall, what is Gab?
Yeah,
How do
it
people
is
use
a fringe website that's a version of Twitter.
Okay, did you get that? Little Brian PSYOP here is telling us that Gab is a fringe website. That's not slanted reporting.
Think of it as a version of Twitter, but it's popular among alt-right members.
All these psychological buzzwords, fringe, alt-right, hate speech.
And other kind of folks that don't feel welcome on sites like Twitter or Facebook.
Well, Brian, it goes just a little beyond not feeling welcome. They've made it very clear that certain people aren't welcome to express their opinions. And that's the reason one day our children will look back and say, Daddy, what was Twitter? What was MySpace?
Why don't they feel welcome? Because Twitter and Facebook, despite all their many, many flaws, enforce a lot of guidelines, a lot of rules of the road.
Yeah, restrictions that prohibit people from posting things like how fake news shows like CNN are.
Gab's claim to fame is you can put up pretty much whatever you want, no matter how racist or ugly, and it's going to stay up on the site.
Which is a very good policy if you like dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery.
So this person, this individual, was using Gab to share his anti-Semitic views.
Oh my gosh, that must mean that Gab is bad because bad people get on there and post bad things. We must regulate them. By the way, while I was working on the last video, Gab was deplatformed by their hosting site. And that should get the attention of everybody on this planet who cares about freedom. But anyway, back to the Clown News Network.
And several of the messages that he was posting was against a Jewish refugee resettlement agency. And that was his point, is that one of the points he was making is that this agency is bringing people in, Jews in, and he said, among many other things, that my people are being slaughtered.
Yeah, this wonderful group, HiIPACT, it says, we welcome strangers, we help refugees. They've been making a big effort about this in the past few days.
For
you
decades.
think about the timing, but yes, for decades they've been doing it. The past few days, a big effort to help refugees, given this migrant caravan story.
Yeah, let's just take Brian Stelter's word for it. HIAS is a wonderful group. By the way, HIAS stands for Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. We might dive in further on this group in another video, but suffice it to say that if mainstream media is saying something is wonderful, it's probably not.
Right.
And some of the rhetoric you see on this suspect's social media profile, talking about invaders, talking about illegals, this is also what you hear on the far right, on talk radio. You hear about an alleged invasion that obviously is not really happening, but that's the rhetoric on the far right. Some of these issues is with this suspect and with the bomb suspect in Florida. It's about our poisoned information environment, where people who are prone to radicalization, people who are vulnerable and are reading all of this nonsense and hate speech online, they become radicalized by what they read, by what they hear, and then they do crazy things.
What's the strong implication here? Remember, he just broad brushed segments of talk radio as the far right. And in the context of voicing dissent, he talks about a poisoned information environment where vulnerable people are prone to radicalization. And when they hear this stuff or see certain memes, they start doing crazy things. The implication is, let's get rid of all these crazy things that have the potential to radicalize some vulnerable person. Stelter and CNN are basically putting themselves in the position of defining what radicalization is, what hate speech is, and what poisoned information is.
So you've dealt a lot with Gab and this type of speech in your professional life?
It's digital threat intelligence. It's looking beyond the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instagrams. It's starting to dive into threatening statements that are made in the deep and dark web, alt websites.
Oh, that sounds scary. Deep and dark web and alt websites. Can they make all this sound any more taboo and sinister? One could get the impression that they're actually telling people to stay away from sites that aren't mainstream. And that's another thing. Who's going to decide what mainstream is and what alternative is?
So when we start looking at this individual, we're going to be looking at obviously his statements on Gab, but beyond that, how many other things has he been posting on? Again, these are red flags, but they highlight a real challenge for law enforcement, is the availability to take all of this information in, digest it, and then make a decision as to, do we go and look at this individual? Like, what is the threshold for law enforcement engagement? I mean, Twitter and Facebook and everything like that, they have standards.
Right.
When you start going into the domain that has no standards, that it's a free reign, behind paid firewalls, what is law enforcement's ability to get in there and start looking at early warning of anomalous behavior, some red flags? Every single time we've sat at this desk and we talk about, well, there was a posting here, there was a posting there. But how can law enforcement engage? And I think that's what we need to look at, is giving law enforcement the tools to look at everything.
What exactly is this guy suggesting? What kind of tools does he want law enforcement to have to look at everything on people's accounts? What kind of freedoms are they setting up to be taken away from us? Because you know it's coming.
Listen, there's analytics around digital media every single day. I mean, Target can tell based upon my profile when I want to buy a blender, right? They should be able to come up with algorithms across the board, become unified to start looking at this anomalous behavior to see what is an early warning sign for behavior that moves, that has the potential to move along the continuum from just rhetoric to physical action.
And just for the record, Gab says, hey.
Guys, this is pre-crime language. He's suggesting that law enforcement be given the tools to create the analytics that will literally target somebody as a potential criminal for posting certain things on the internet. They're formulating a narrative that gives law enforcers the right to come into your life and take away your freedoms if they feel like you aren't measuring up to their algorithm. This is a slippery slope to silencing all dissent. Do you know how many people could literally be targeted as purveyors of hate speech just for criticizing Israel or the US government or the evil actions of politicians? I mean, it's getting to the point where truth is the new hate speech. Oh, they spoke the truth about me. They are so hateful and anti-Semitic and anti-this and anti-that. We must get them.
For the record, Gab says, hey, we support law enforcement. We contacted the FBI today. That's what they say. But the existence of these sites where you can do anything, say anything, and usually these guys will claim, oh, I don't mean it, I'm just playing around. But
these psychopaths really don't want you to have access to sites where you can do or say anything, while they can do and say anything they want. What's happening here is mainstream media really wants to get rid of their competition, and they're chomping at the bit to do it.
Some of them are serious.
The tools that they need.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Give law enforcement the tools they need to take more freedoms away from the rest of us.
Okay, but even, Mike, even if they do have these tools to monitor, even if they have the manpower to monitor all these different sites, and if the environment is fracturing every single day, it's you can't act on that necessarily, short of an actual threat.
Well, I will tell you, major police departments do have social media awareness platforms now to monitor Twitter and Facebook for a host of reasons. Gang activity, lots of things. It's important. With a case like this, though, unless you know about the individual, let's just say we have that algorithm that's going to say, I'm going to go after them. Put yourself in the law enforcement shoe. If you don't know who it is, you don't know where the location is, it's not geolocated, it really isn't helpful because we don't know where to go to protect them or engage them. With that said, someone creates a threat profile on him, whether it's neighbors, his family, for whatever reason, there's not enough evidence there for an arrest, but there's a lot of radical views and behavior. Somebody comes through and says, I think he's going to commit violence. You could do a targeted profile on somebody then. And if they say something like that, then maybe you could engage. But I will tell you, this is where civil liberties and law enforcement crash.
Josh? Oh, sorry.
No, please. But, because if you do that to the wrong person, civil libertarians are going to tell you, oh, this is Big Brother.
This is Big Brother. And we definitely don't want that psychopath in our lives. If history has taught us anything, it's that government is here to take away your freedoms, not give you freedoms.
Now, these are the things that society has to balance, like to protect, just like we did after 9/11, to protect the country, there's certain measures we have to take, have to explain it to the public.
And that's exactly what government does. They explain it to the public. I mean, they brainwash the public. They lie to the public. And he uses 9/11 as an example. That was the shameful period in our history where we lost the most amount of liberties in the least amount of time. Hey, public, I'm from the government. I'm here to help. You know you can trust me. I know you don't feel safe. Well, I'll tell you what. Give away some of your freedoms and we'll make sure we protect you. So from now on, before you board an airplane, we're going to relieve you of your Fourth Amendment rights, just temporarily, mind you, pat you down or radiate you. But this is for your safety. Guys, Franklin's saying is still true. Those who would give up liberty for a little temporary security deserve neither.
And I think people generally agree. As long as it's not being abused, it's being monitored.
Oh yeah, you can trust us. We won't abuse our power. We'll just make sure we monitor you. Everything will be fine. We're just going to take a little tiny piece of your freedom away. It'll be okay. This won't hurt a bit.
But I think, without question, the first responders, the people that actually have to engage these people, need that ability to do it.
Let me give you one example, too, just as an example. So we've been showing the images here of the firearms, that the subject had on his Guns of Gab account. These are pictures of targets and the firearms. This is not evidence of crime in and of itself. This is protected First Amendment activity. This is someone who's saying, I like weapons, I'm an enthusiast, and I actually shoot pretty well. But what does it mean when this is then overlaid with some of this anti-Semitic garbage that we've seen associated with this person? again, that goes back to the question as you mentioned about building profiles.
Yeah.
This taken together may be something that then moves it to another level. The question is anybody looking?
You got guns? Fine. But you start talking about how you hate the government and you think we'd be better off without a uniformed gang of violent thugs oppressing the rest of us. Well, buddy, then you've crossed over into the area where we're going to start building a profile on you.
What I see the connection between the two cases is the idea that on the internet you can be radicalized. Right. The way we talk about terrorists and in other countries being radicalized, Americans are being radicalized by crazy conspiracy theories, far right-wing websites, and some of these dark antisocial sites that spread memes.
And how often, for how long have we been using that exact same language when we're talking about terrorism?
Brian Stelter really wants to please his masters here. He's doing his part there on CNN to get rid of all those pesky YouTubers and social media independent journalists who are calling him out on their BS every single day. Guys, there's no time to relax. There's a massive war going on for individual liberties, and the internet is the tool they're foaming at the mouth to regulate. And I mean heavily regulate. And there will come a day where they will punish you because they view your voice as a dissenting voice, and they can't have that. Stay sharp, stay focused, and question everything. I'll see you guys in the next video. Guys, I don't know how much longer my channel will be around here on YouTube. Please take a minute and sign up to my email list. It's free, painless, and you'll get some cool stuff. Also, take another minute to subscribe to my decentralized, censorship-free BitChute and Steemit channels. All these links are in the description. I want you to know this. If my channel goes down, I'll still produce content for you guys through my website and through BitChute and Steemit. So make sure you stay connected through the email subscription link in the description below. Just watch the 45-second video on my website and you'll...
And yeah, I mean, come on. We all love guns, you know. We use it for everything, especially hunting. Well, if you're an Israeli hunting Palestinians, but like if you're like an American that loves to hunt for their own food, then yeah, we pretty much just hunt animals. Although if there were some like sick motherfucker anti-Semite Semites, we probably hunt those animals. Oh my goodness, did I just say something that might be monitored? I'm sure I'm being monitored. But you know, when you kind of break into my house illegally, unconstitutionally, I've got quite a little bit of an accessory, I guess, in types of ammunition that I can use. You know, I don't know whether to choose. I don't know. I actually prefer the slugs. The slugs, you know, I don't care what armor you're wearing. That thing's gonna go through it, and it's gonna hurt. But it's just, you know, I don't really care about shotguns. It's a little bit too heavy, a little bit too loud. I'll probably just use my crossbow. At least, you know, first shot. That way it's not loud. Give away a location. You know, there's always the pistol. I always love the pistol. I'm not limited to 10 rounds, 17, you know. That's a good number. Oh, that hurt my back. Yeah, that's another thing with shotguns. They're so heavy, it just hurts my back when I shoot it. What was I talking about? Animals? Okay, here's another one. Let's see. What was I gonna show? Oh, yeah. So this is good stuff. Outer Light Ed. Let's see, we're 36 minutes in. I think we're good on time. He breaks it down great. If we're talking about propaganda, well, thank you, Obama, for signing that little bill that makes it legal. People may not like Tyler Durden, you know. I think it's funny that he uses that name. People don't know. Watch Fight Club. Wow, is there actually a news agency that uses a link to a source that actually goes to the direct source, especially to a .gov site? geez, I never see New York Times or CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News do that. I mean, usually they just link it to another one of their articles where they just do a little bit of a snippet to, or maybe not even that. Goodness gracious. Whoa, I'm losing my mind here. Oh, no, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to shoot anybody. I am not suicidal either, just so you guys know. All right, here we go.
Hi, this is Ed back again with another video here. So you're all aware of what happened with the Magna bomber there. I've covered that at length. And also what happened at the synagogue, which was a much more serious attack, obviously. We will wait until the information comes out. Of course, it'll be weeks until that happens. And there's a lot of research that needs to be done, of course. But the alleged suspect, of course, posted on Gab.ai. So the entire mainstream media are now going after Gab. I just have a few words to say about this. We'll go through this Zero Hedge article in a moment, but I just want to address some things. I believe personally, at least this is my theory, that Gab's being used as a proxy in order to subvert the narrative. How that'll work is I just wrote it down here, so I'll go over this very briefly, then we'll get into this Zero Hedge article, as well as listen to a little bit of an interview which one of the heads of Gab, or the founding individuals there, it was interviewed recently by NPR, which will air today as a matter of fact, but they recorded the interview of the journalist interviewing them there on their cell phone. Which you've got to do these days because you never know how it will be chopped up. But let's have a look at this here. So how the MSN, and excuse this, I just typed this out very quickly, is turning the chief suspect behind the synagogue event from anti-Donald Trump, documented via the post there on Gab, to pro-Donald Trump through subversion. See, they're using Gab as the mechanism in order to do this. How are they doing it? Well, remember the posts of the person that performed that event there at the synagogue. I have to be careful these days because of the Google AI. Anything I say, it doesn't like. Okay, so I have to be careful with my words and my thoughts in my brain. But the main point here is Gab.ai, my main thesis, I guess, is that Gab.ai is just being used as a proxy in order to link the event to Donald Trump's support base, which a lot of them are actually on Gab.ai. Even though the person that carried this out stated that they were anti-Donald Trump, they believed he was a globalist, etc., the fact is that's been linked to Donald Trump through the platform, and the suggestive mechanism is slightly different. They just keep on repeating Gab, keep on repeating Donald Trump, alt-right, etc., and then keep on repeating the actual individual that carried it out or allegedly carried it out. So here we see this here, and this is what I think why they are so fervently attacking Gab at the moment, because this is coming off the heels of the Magna bomber, who conveniently had all of these stickers all over their car, etc. We've gone into that in a little bit in depth, and then this event comes days after, and they want to package all of it together. So the person that carried out the attack was anti-Donald Trump. The steps here that are outlined is first connect the event with a platform that already has been criticized unfairly as alt-right or a Trump support-based platform. That is the platform Gab.ai or Gab.com, which is a free speech platform and is welcoming to everyone that wants to talk about something, which I'm on as well, Gab.ai/the outer dark there. So then you make sure to state that it is Gab's fault because it is a platform for hate. Keep linking the chief suspect involved in this event with Gab. Keep linking it with Donald Trump. Since Gab.ai is believed to have a lot of Donald Trump supporters on it, soon the chief suspect will becomes pro-Trump, at least in the subconscious. You'll remember you were trying to link all this together, and what people believe in the subconscious as the reasonings for the event might be completely different than reality. Okay, the reality might be completely different, but the reasoning comes from literally your subconscious, which is programmed in different ways. So you're trying to bundle all this together. You're trying to use Gab as a proxy in order to do this. You're trying to say the person was on Gab, and then the pundits will say, what is Gab? I don't know what it is, the mainstream media. So the host will explain, well, there's a lot of Donald Trump supporters on there, a lot of people, etc. They've been kicked off, you know, Google Play and things like that. Very little, if any, media coverage will be on the fact that this person's anti-Donald Trump. And, you know, you can think what you like of Donald Trump. I'm just pointing this out. I'm of the same mode as Glenn Greenwald. Okay, Glenn Greenwald believes that Donald Trump has been subverted by the deep state. Gab booted from hosting company. This is really recently after synagogue event there. Chief Tech Officer steps down. The Chief Tech Officer, you know, I have sympathy for, just couldn't handle the barrage of endless attacks. So they said that they're going to step down because all of this has taken a toll on them personally. Of course, then we go into Gab. The hosting provider is the latest to leave Gab, saying we're going to cut all ties with Gab. PayPal has now left Gab as well, saying they will cut all ties with Gab. For what? For the acts of one individual. And again, I'm quoting from the mainstream media. I have no idea what happened at all. Anything could have happened. I have no idea. But I'm just addressing this from this angle. So the mainstream media states that this person, you know, was on Gab, that they were saying these things, you know, but they never say the anti-Donald Trump things. They just keep on linking it with Gab, and they keep on referring to Gab as far, you know, as an alt-right platform, a dangerous platform, a platform filled with hate speech, etc. But how can Gab be held responsible for one of the acts out of, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or perhaps millions of users? I'm not sure how many users are there. It's the equivalent from one, you know, a multinational company that owns numerous amounts of storage yards being responsible for some serial killer having bodies within some container. It doesn't even make logical sense anymore, but they just endlessly use the same attack vectors over and over again. Again, it doesn't have to make sense to them. It just has to be repeated enough times within the media. They need to repeat Gab. They need to repeat the shooter. Okay, they can't come at the angle of saying this person was a Donald Trump supporter, because that's not what the tweets state. Okay, it states that they're anti-Donald Trump. So they come at it with another direction. And I'll be honest with you, this will have, all this stuff will have an effect. It'll have an effect on people's minds and how they vote. Okay, it will really have an effect. There's no way it couldn't have an effect. The two events are too large. They were in all the news. They've already linked the Magna bomber, the first one, and then straight after this one, and they are already criticizing Donald Trump for creating these events via his rhetoric. That is another angle that they're coming at it from as well. Here's just you know, another different attack vector which they're using Gab as a proxy. So Gab secured another hosting provider, etc. Here is the tweets of the individual, which will be quoted quite a bit, you know, and so on and so forth. This individual saying, "Screw your optics, I'm going in." Not sure exactly what that means. I guess it's some kind of term. I know what optics means, obviously, but as in what he's actually referring to. So on and so forth, and you get the point there. So that is pretty much what's happening here. Look, I mean, free speech, you know, people criticize Gab and saying, you know, it's a lot of people on there, a lot of trolls or whatever from, well, you banned everyone from the entire world. So, yes, there's a lot of people there. It's like the Wild West, so to speak. It's like Vote, okay? Vote is like literally like the Wild West. And everyone's been banned from everywhere. Everyone's banned from everywhere now. Alex Jones is on Gab. Okay? Alex Jones is now on Gab, okay? And it's probably one of the only social media platforms that will literally let him on there, because he's been banned by PayPal, banned by YouTube, i.e. Google, deranked by Google, and so on everywhere. And they want to control the narrative. Of course, that's another avenue here. They want to punish companies that do not abide by their narrative, which is this kind of leftist, Marxist, identity politic driven agenda that is programmed into the population. Okay, so let's just go into the interview here. This person recorded their interview here with NPR. So let's play a little bit of this here. And of course the audio is not perfect, and that's because it was recorded, I guess, off their phone. You know, that's what you've got to do, because this is one of the founders of Gab talking to NPR here. And of course NPR is going to chop up the conversation in extreme ways. Well, maybe they won't. I don't know. It hasn't played yet. But, you know, the NPR version of this interview, maybe they won't do that. But I would say it's highly likely they'll do that. They'll dress it. They'll put all the set dressing in there like some kind of theatre. They'll put in little chops of the interview there, and they'll discuss the interview, you know, and so forth. Let's have a listen to it here.
In there? Because I don't. What would you expect us to do with a post like that? You want us to just censor anybody that says the phrase, "I'm going in"? Is that what you're proposing here? Because I think that's absurd. And here's the thing. The answer to bad speech or hate speech, however you want to define that, is more speech. And it always will be. Censorship and pushing these people into the shadows is never going to be the answer. Words do not kill people. Guns do not kill people. Social media platforms do not kill people. People kill people. There's one person responsible for the horrific events that happened today, and that is allegedly Mr. Bowers.
Do you think there's an undue pressure on social media platforms to police this type of violence?
Absolutely. Social media platforms, including Gab, have Section 230 protections under CDA Section 230 that do not leave them liable for the content that is posted on their sites. You know, social media has existed for well over a decade now, and all of a sudden, you know, when President Trump wins and when there's a populist revolution happening around the world, we need to crack down, right? And use hate speech and these ambiguous, subjective terms to police political opinions and to police thought. And use the actions of people like Mr. Bowers to silence dissent.
So there is an argument that is being made that when people have a platform to share this type of extreme or violent behavior like Mr. Bowers, being able to share this on a platform is encouraging or inciting to other like-minded people. These are the ingredients for this type of violence to be encouraged to happen. What do you respond to that?
I don't agree with that at all. Again, the answer to bad speech is always going to be more speech. Let these people be exposed. Let law enforcement have a documented record to be able to track these people and see what they're saying before they take action, so that law enforcement can take preemptive action and watch for red flags, things of this nature. That won't exist if you no-platform these people off the internet. And when you try to silence these people and you don't allow them to express their feelings or their opinions with words, then what's going to happen is they're going to express it with violence. And nobody wants that.
Okay, but Robert Bowers was allowed to express it, right?
Sure.
I mean, in the past. And he went ahead and did something very violent anyway.
Okay, and what's your point? And now law enforcement have a clear motive and have documented evidence to use against him to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law and ensure that justice is served. And the world now can see, this hateful rhetoric and condemn it.
I won't play any more of it. Of course, the NPR interview will come out and you can all listen to that. A link to this, though, will be placed in the description, so you can listen to the full interview here and decide for yourselves, of course. Go out, do your own research, and of course decide for yourselves. Here's the headlines from Reuters. Gab.ai fights to stay online after the event there. Fighting to stay online because one person, the person that allegedly perpetrated the event, how would I know? Maybe they did carry it out. Of course there needs to be an investigation. Obviously law enforcement is investigating it, so we will see what happens. But you know, how can a whole entire platform be held accountable for that? How can Facebook be, you know, why isn't it held accountable if one person on there, such as the person that perpetrated the YouTube attacks, if you remember them, was on, I think it was on Facebook, I can't remember exactly, or Twitter or whatever. I did cover it at the time. In the meantime, go out, decide for yourselves what to believe. This is Ed from the Outer Light channel and the DailyRabbitHole.com. Stay safe, and I'll see you all later.
Good old esoteric Ed. What I like is he looks into these details that a lot of people don't, and some of the things that I like to look into, he's probably looked into a while ago. So it's like I need a second opinion sometimes. No one else will reply to me because I'm just a guy in the basement. But he kind of knows who I am, and it's like I just want to like second opinion. And because nobody really gives their opinions on my show, even though they can, or if they do, it's just like, hey, you're just go back to listening to CNN, Ebon. Goodness gracious, you're just turning crazy. God, goodness gracious, that's not the type of second opinion I wanted. It's the opinion of what I'm looking into and whether it just seems legitimate or like a smart, logical argument. I mean, just look at the entire idea throughout history and current events about the calendar, how we knew for centuries that it wasn't a pure circular orbit around, or whether it's around the sun or around the earth, that it's 364 days, and why it has, or sorry, it's 365 days, what am I thinking? And why is it that it's those 5 extra days existed? Yet, of course, there's this whole big thing with the Catholic Church way back into the was it 16th century? I forget. I had to bring that up again. But my videos are there. Anyways, the whole point was that if they knew it wasn't a perfect circular orbit, then why were they arguing about it when they already enforced a 365.2425 yearly orbit around the sun, or the sun around the earth? Yet Kepler hadn't proposed those laws until after that point. Everything's just a little bit weird, but nobody really wants to look into it. Okay, so a little bit good stuff. I didn't agree with the person who was talking when the police would have enough for like preemptive type of necessary evidence to do some actions. Oh, looks like we got somebody here. Ryan from Down Under, how you doing? Wow, it looks bright over there. I can't hear you.
All right, man. That's
oh, there we go. All right, so one more video. It's a short video. You'll have to watch it on YouTube, or at least listen to it, Ryan, because I'm not connected by another computer to share. This is a shorter video by Davey Crocko. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Davey Crocko. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. We're going to get right into it. Gab.ai, Gab.com, the alternative to Twitter, one of the only ones around, the only one around, is being deplatformed on many levels, and censorship is coming. This was on their Twitter account, which I'm very positive will be banned pretty soon. And they had to say, today, Gab.com spent all day working with law enforcement to
You know
ensure
why
that
they shut
justice
down
is
Gab,
served.
don't you?
For this,
Oh,
we have been...
why they attack Gab? All right.
Platform from Stripe, PayPal, and Joyent. In a matter of hours, this is direct collusion between big tech giants, and they're asking for the president to act. Stripe is a payment processing service. We all know what PayPal is. And Joyent is their hosting site. So they will have no platform to be on, nobody to host their site, which means their site will be down as of Monday. They said other companies have reached out to them, but this is on the heels of the shooting at the synagogue because Bowers, the man that did the shooting, allegedly
Turn your mic
had
off
a
on
Gab.ai
OBS.
account he was using to say whatever he wanted to say.
So they can't hear us?
It is a free speech platform, but they do also censor certain things. So this is no different than any other major social media site. They just have more money and more workers to put in and more money to spend on artificial intelligence, and they clamp down the censorship way harder than a site like Gab.ai. But there are no major sites like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, name any one of them, that would be taken down and removed from their hosting site over the many times that this has happened. Now, I didn't pull up examples of the times that shooters have written on Facebook and then committed the act. There's a laundry list of them. Most of these guys vent their feelings out on the internet somewhere, and people don't remove Facebook when they do it. But the mainstream media has been going hard at Gab all day. This is a coordinated effort. They all want to censor free speech. So if there's a platform that's a refuge for us to go to, I started a Gab.ai account recently, but if we have this place to go to from Twitter and they're growing and they're doing well, they just look for a situation like this. So CNN, what's Gab, the social media platform used by the Pittsburgh shooting suspect? Business Insider, what's Gab? The suspect Pittsburgh shooter allegedly had a following on a social network that many call the far-right's alternative to Twitter. Here's everything we know about Gab. Breaking, Joyent, which is the hosting site provider for Get on Gab, has just banned Gab from using their hosting service. And here's CNN.
Of anger, these outnumber expressions of not anger.
What is this guy talking about? Has he never been on Twitter? Has he ever read the YouTube comment section? Just look at the Brett Kavanaugh thing, for example. Were they not hateful about him on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, etc.? These people...
So CBS News claims expressions of anger online is something that is exclusive to Get on Gab. Coordinated effort, guys. CBS, Business Insider, CNN, they all call them the far-right alternative. And where do they get it from? Oh, probably Wikipedia. Gab is a far-right Philadelphia, Pennsylvania-based social networking service. And here's the official article. PayPal cuts Gab social media from its platform. Ties to Pittsburgh shooter may be the cause. Okay, deadline. The shooting happened this morning. They were removed a few hours later. Can you not put the pieces together? Do you think it may be the cause? Or can you just, write something that's not editorialized and fluffed up? Just say, PayPal cuts Gab because of shooting. I mean, Jesus, guys. The PayMail payments platform has removed the Gab.ai from the service. PayPal did not provide an explanation. And here's an official statement so you guys can see. We are hereby notifying you that we are terminating our relationship with you pursuant to PayPal's user agreement. Under the PayPal user agreement, PayPal, at its sole discretion, reserves the right to terminate your account for any reason and at any time upon notice to you. So that means they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, and you have no say in it. So that's why I warn people about some of these places like PayPal and Patreon. I use them myself. People have sent me donations through them. I haven't had any problems yet. But like you see in the terms of service, whatever they want to call them, the user agreement, you have to agree that you're at their will. If they just feel like removing you, or if someone flags you enough times, or if you're like Gab, you're just a place where people can congregate and say what they want to an extent, because they do censor, guys. There's plenty of instances you can look up of them removing anti-Semitic remarks. Now, like I said, some of these other sites are bigger. They can cast a wider net over their site and remove more things. A smaller site like Gab.ai that puts itself out there as this free speech mecca, they don't want to start removing everything. That would go against their company policy. But it's not everything goes. It's not far right. It's not the alt-right site. It was a place where the alt-right was getting removed from Twitter, so they went to the next available option, which was Gab.ai. Free speech doesn't coordinate with the alt-right. Free speech aligns with United States values, core values, a human right. That's what this is about, and none of these big sites want us to have that. I will read this upon leaving. This was the official statement from Gab. Gab.com's policy on terrorism and violence have always been very clear. We have a zero tolerance for it. Gab unequivocally disavows and condemns all acts of terrorism and violence. This has always been our policy. We are saddened and disgusted by the news of the violence in Pittsburgh, and we are keeping the families and friends of all of the victims in our thoughts and prayers. We refuse to be defined by the media's narratives about Gab and our community. Gab's mission is very simple: to defend free expression, to defend free expression and individual liberty online for all people. Social media often brings out the best and the worst of humanity, from live stream murders on Facebook to threats of violence by bombing suspect Cesar Sayoc Jr. that went unaddressed by Twitter, and more. Criminals and criminal behavior exist on every social media platform. And they couldn't be more right, guys. Like I said, I'll probably have time in the morning, and I will put together a little compilation of all the times shooters or terrorists or bombers or any criminals went on their social media account before committing their act, and probably narrow it down to just the ones that announced their act, so we can get it even more, finely tuned down. But I wanted to make this short and sweet because a lot of people like when I cover the censorship angle, and they know I'm very passionate about it, and I'm glad I did this in one take. I don't even think I'm going to have to edit anything. So, with that said, good night, guys.
Alright, that was good. One of the things, too, is like, I'm pretty sure you and me, we both have zero tolerance and do not condemn, and we disavow any acts of terrorism and violence. Yet we always talk about the number one perpetrator of acts of terrorism and violence, and that's usually the United States government. That's the state of Israel. That's a whole bunch of entities, and we keep talking about it, yet they're the ones that are shutting everyone else down and saying you guys are the ones that are being terrorists and violent. Oh yeah, you're catching up. Sorry, go ahead. Whenever you're ready, Ryan.
No, I can hear you. I'm not catching up.
Okay.
I'm just alarmed that that any sort of blame can be put on Gab for what happened. I mean, why aren't we blaming the person who did it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's sort of like it's like the YouTube shooter. Why aren't we blaming YouTube and Google? This guy that sent all these fake bombs around. Why aren't we blaming Twitter?
Yeah, you know what? They should be shutting them down.
Exactly, but they don't, because these corporations help collect data on people for the use of the government.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a shitty situation to be in, but I mean, you can't rule with an iron fist like that. I mean, you can, but it just makes people disgruntled. I mean, come on.
You all right there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay.
I just don't like when governments and mainstream media comes out and starts blaming places like Gab and all that type of stuff for what other people are doing.
They never blame themselves. That's for sure.
Exactly. So, you know, we're not blaming Chuck Todd for the and Rachel Maddow for the constant Russia scare.
Actually, we do.
Yeah, but you know, mainstream media doesn't. The government doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's.
Well, moving on to the topic. Hillary Clinton 2020. Are you excited, Ryan? She's gonna be president.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she is.
No,
one
she's
believes it. Though everything that's going on points to dismantling the platforms of the Donald Trump base. Just Gab.ai is one. Look at what happened to the biggest proponent media for Donald Trump, and who was that? InfoWars. And look at another person who pretty much helped Donald Trump win and prevented Hillary Clinton from being very, very, very well squeaky clean in her election. And that was Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. And guess what's going on with Julian Assange right now? Look, everything points to, let's do a clean sweep in 2020. And they are not afraid to cheat because they've cheated before. They are not afraid of being corrupt because they know they can be corrupt. And just to tell everyone, hey, you know, we just had to make sure that Donald Trump and whoever doesn't win again, and you guys are going to be happy that we won. And they'll do whatever they want, and they'll just say, hey, at least we're not Donald Trump. At least we're not alt-right people.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think she'll easily get the Democratic nomination. I mean, there's no if, buts, or maybes about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because they'll cheat her into position. I mean, they don't, like they said, they don't need to listen to what the voters say when it comes to their in-house voting for nominations and stuff like that. So they can go off and do whatever they want, which is a sad indictment on democracy, really. I mean, but, you know, it's one thing that I've realized lately is you can't open everybody's eyes. You know what I mean? Some people just want to stay belligerent and, you know, believe what they want to believe.
Yep. That is true. Trust me, I know. I know. But that's okay. You know, it takes different times, and everyone, you know, it's not a sprint. It's an endurance. It's a marathon. People get there when they get there. It's rabbit versus the tortoise, you know.
Like I was on a live stream for these guys that do First Amendment stuff, and they go in and photograph stuff, and they started going on about Bernie Sanders and how he's a socialist and all this type of stuff. And it's like there's no definition between what Bernie Sanders actually is and what they think he is. You know, he's a socialist, and, you know, he's going to take all our money and he's going to give it to the poor and give it to all his mates and stuff like that. And it's like, has he had a history of doing that? And then it's like, oh, you know, he's got 4 multi-million-dollar houses and all this type of stuff. And it's like, has he really? Or is this what Fox News is telling you?
Here's the thing about the whole socialism thing, communism, is if they really wanted to push it, they could have pushed it by now. If that was the agenda. That has never been the agenda for America, and that's why they're against it. I mean, just look at if I showed you the act, you know, the propaganda act that Obama signed, that 2 senators that they quietly snuck in. Guess what? Were they both Democrats? No, one was a Republican, one was a Democrat. They're both colluded with each other to get what they want with America. And so when people say, oh, we got to stay away from communism or actually socialism, they'll call it communism or they'll call it Karl Marxism, whatever it is. It's like if they really wanted to push that, they would have and they could have, and no one would have been able to stop it. I mean, there would just been another revolution, another war. Maybe that's why they don't want to push it, but still, yeah.
I mean, the rich are still rich in a communist state anyway. I mean, you look at, the only difference between being rich in North Korea and being rich in America is that you become a military officer and you get like a shit ton of badges and you just kiss ass a lot. That's the only difference. I mean, there's no difference.
There are probably more billionaires in Russia and China than there are in the U.S. I mean, not the extent of how much money that they have, but the amount of money, billionaires. I'm pretty sure that there's more billionaires outside the U.S. than there are in the U.S. in these communist type countries.
And when communism fell, there are an enormous amount of people who became extremely wealthy off the back of communism and the fall of communism.
Yeah, I'm not supporting communism in any way. I'm just stating.
No. But like
they went from same point.
They went from
capitalism.
One extreme.
Yeah.
They went from one extreme to the other, and then just sold everything off at bargain basement to raise funds. And these people have just, oil fields, electricity, gas, water, everything. They just it was like a fire sale. And that's how all these people became uber rich.
I mean, right now, the way current capitalism is pretty much reverse socialism, because it's redistribution of wealth, but it's the redistribution of wealth from lower middle class to the upper class. That's what it is right now. And people are going, we don't want socialism. We have socialism right now. It's just reverse socialism. It's not redistributed from the wealthy to the middle class and the poor. We're paying the rich people. We're paying the government.
I mean, I think that the most fundamental part of socialism, and we don't even want like pure socialism. We want democratic socialism. Most people want democratic socialism, not the full-blown socialism like Marx and stuff like that, which would or go down to communism and stuff like that. We don't want that. All right. So what we want is we don't want people getting uber rich while people off the backs of other people. So if you're making minimum wage at McDonald's, then why should the CEO be making millions of dollars a year?
Yeah, here's the thing. And not just that. CEO and whoever the stakeholders are making millions a year, yet they're still applying for the government for their workers to get benefits.
Yep.
So
and then you've got you got massive tax loopholes. Apple didn't pay a cent in tax in the US or Australia last year.
And Apple's technology, it's all created in the U.S. by government.
Yep.
And government is we the people, right? That's what it should be. Yet we don't get a dime.
No. So this is why I think that people on the right and conservatives are so misguided about what socialism is. Socialism isn't about taxing the shit out of rich people and just handing it through the government to poor people. To me, democratic socialism is making these corporations that make billions of dollars a year, that pay no taxes, pay a standard minimum wage, a livable minimum wage, depending on where you live. So if you live in New York and you're working at a factory in New York, then you should get paid more than, say, in the same factory out the back of Alabama, because the cost of living is different. Okay, so, and this is what I try and tell people. It's not like I said, it's not about taxing the shit out of people. It's about giving the minimum amount of money, so the money just doesn't flow up. It flows down.
Oh no! Now you're starting to talk about trickle down. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but you know,
I think it's just better stated. Not even putting socialism into the context. Just the current problems with what it is today, and currently today, people don't see it as socialism. They see it as capitalism. But what they don't understand that this current capitalism is just socialism in a reversed distribution towards, instead of the masses, the select few.
Yeah. But see, the thing is when you look at it, is the more you pay people, like you wouldn't even really need to increase the tax rate and close many loopholes if you force companies to pay a minimum wage of say $18, because you would reach the tax thresholds faster, and you would be paying more tax ultimately. So the government would be getting the money anyway. So you could just turn around and say, look, Apple, Amazon, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, any of these massive corporations that fuck over their Walmart, that fuck over their employees, force them to pay the right amount of money, and then you will reap the benefits in tax.
One thing
you don't have to raise the tax. You don't have to raise taxes. You just have to enforce a minimum wage, and therefore you will get money.
Yeah, I say let's not even talk about this part. There's plenty battles to be fought before we can even discuss things like this, because none of this even matters, because we're not going to even get close to putting in anyone that will even try to implement something like this, at least in the United States. All right, so moving on, I kind of want to show, move on to fake bombs and fake news. We all know about fake news. We'll even use it. We're not all right, although people on the neo-centralist, whatever, sideism spectrum will say that we are. You know, what I like about Outer Light Ed, you know, he talks about the strange things about the stamps, strange things about the bombs. One of the things that he, you know, shows is like there's no, like on the stamps, like when you mail something, they're stamped, because you can't use the stamps again. They make sure that anytime you ship something, they just put a stamp on it saying, all right, you can't use those stamps anymore, right? But none of those stamps in any of the packages had any of that. Plus, the bombs themselves don't look real at all. People had some, like, people who know how to make bombs and stuff like that. They went over and they go, why would he put it this way? That no one would do it this way, and all this other stuff. It's just all of it just adds up to being fake and phony. And you know, another reason Hillary Clinton 2020, I mean, she becomes a victim again. The Democrats, DNC, George Soros even looks the victim. That's just another way to kind of shape people's minds who are already shaped a certain way. So just something to think about. 2020, look at all the signs. And yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, Trump is a weird stepping stone, because I don't think they saw him coming, and he just saw the top of the pyramid, and he's like, I can get there. But he still has to follow in along with some of the people that are in charge, and you see him doing that. I just wonder, and this guy, this MAGA bomber, what I'm hearing is he's anti-Trump, but he's kind of a MAGA supporter, or that doesn't make sense if he's anti-Trump. Maybe he believed in Trump and Trump just kind of messed up, because I do know a lot of libertarians who are for Trump, and then they realized, oh, Trump is just another imperialist. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? You think the bombs were real? You think the... Hello? Ryan?
Sorry, what was that?
Were you watching porn again? Come on.
Yeah.
What did I tell you about watching porn while you're on Zoom?
I was reading an email. Sorry.
Okay. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's late. That it's went way over than I originally wanted it to. But what are your final thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, this guy with the fake bombs, he's going away for a long time. He's never going to see outside of prison again. Hillary Clinton is going to run 2020, but I hope she loses, but we'll wait and see. My question is, will Donald Trump run again? That's...
If he's alive, he'll run again.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he might just say, look, I've done my 4 years and it's time to give somebody else a crack. I mean... Yeah. He's entitled to do that. I mean, he's proved his point.
I mean, I have a feeling that he will kind of know that he'll lose, or he'll be forced to lose in 2020, so he'll just not run again. That way he has the perfect record of being 1-0 in a presidential run. Because he's the type of person who says, I'm a winner, I won, that's, there's nothing left for me to do.
I guess that's why I'm thinking he might step down and say, well, and then go back to his business and make a shitload of money out of all the connections he's made as president.
Yeah, I kind of see that as a possibility too.
Yeah, so I see that more of a sort of like a carrot and stick type thing for him, is to the fact that he'll earn a shitload of money once he's out.
Yeah, I mean, the Clintons were broke when they left the White House, and now they're just multi-millionaires.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Trumps are still raking in the money where they can. I mean, Saudi Arabia, it's all coming.
Yeah.
So,
whoa, who's that ghost behind you that's taking all your stuff?
It's my mom.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I guess she really likes that one.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm going to fly.
All right, cool. It's nice to see you again. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, man. All right.
See you later.
Catch you later, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Good night.